You are a slave. You are a slave to the first impulse that fires in your brain. Someone insults you, you snap back. Traffic stops, you rage. A plan fails, you panic. This lack of control is why you fail. It is why you are weak. But there is a gap, a split second between the trigger and the action. In that gap lies your freedom. In that gap lies your power. Most men live and die without ever finding it. Today, that ends. Today, you stop reacting like a child. Today, you learn to master the pause. Chapter 1. The Slave Mindset. Why you are weak. You believe you are free. You believe you are the captain of your soul, the master of your fate. You wake up, you go to work, you make decisions. But you are lying to yourself. You are not free. You are a slave. Most people walk through life assuming that freedom is physical. They think that because they are not in chains, they are free men. But there is a different kind of slavery. A slavery of the mind. A slavery of the impulse. This is the state where you currently live. You live in a state of constant reaction. Let's look at your day. You are driving to work. Someone cuts you off. Immediately, without a single second of conscious thought, your blood pressure spikes. You slam on the horn. You scream a curse word. Your morning is ruined. You arrive at work, agitated. Who is in control here? Is it you? Or is it the stranger in the other car? You sit down at your desk. You receive an email. It's critical feedback from a client or a boss. It's not polite. It's blunt. Immediately your face flushes hot. Your fingers hit the keyboard. You type out a defensive reply. You hit send. You feel a momentary rush of righteousness followed by hours of anxiety as you realize the mistake you just made. Who is in control here? Is it you, or is it the words on a screen? This is the definition of the slave mindset. If the world pushes a button and you jump, you are not the master. You are the machine. You are a puppet, and the world is holding the strings. Reaction is weakness. Response is power. You need to understand the mechanics of this slavery. When you react immediately to external stimuli, you are handing the remote control of your emotions to other people. You are telling the world, here is the control panel to my mind. If you want me to be angry, press this. If you want me to be sad, press that. If you want me to lose my composure and look like a fool, just push the right button. A reactive man is easily manipulated. He is easily broken. If I know what triggers you, I own you. If I know that an insult makes you lose your focus, I will insult you right before you need to perform. If I know that bad news makes you panic, I can dismantle your leadership with a single sentence. You must stop confusing reactivity with being real or being passionate. That is a lie you tell yourself to justify your lack of discipline. A child screams when it drops its toy. A child cries when it is hungry. A child strikes out when it is frustrated. There is nothing powerful about immediate expression. It is raw. It is unrefined. It is weak. Let's look at a real-world scenario. Let's look at the difference between a slave and a master in a high-stakes environment. Imagine a boardroom. A crisis has just hit the company. Revenue is down 40%. A major deal has collapsed. The tension in the room is thick enough to choke on. The CEO with the slave mindset enters. He hears the news. His immediate reaction is fear, masked as anger. He slams his hand on the table. He starts shouting. He demands to know whose fault this is. He points fingers. He paces the room, sweating, his voice cracking with desperation. He is reacting. What happens to the room? The team panics. They see their leader losing control, so they lose control. They stop looking for solutions and start looking for exits. They stop thinking about the company and start thinking about how to protect themselves from the CEO's wrath. In that moment of reaction, the CEO has lost the respect of every person in that room. He has shown them that he cannot handle the pressure. He has shown them he is weak. Reaction is weakness. Response is power. Now, imagine the same scenario. The same bad news, the same collapsing deal. But this time, the leader has mastered the pause. The news is delivered. The room goes silent. The leader does not flinch. He does not slam the table. He does not shout. He sits back. He takes a breath. He looks at the data. He is stone-faced. He is unreadable. Inside, he might feel the same spike of adrenaline. He might feel the same urge to panic, but he does not obey it. He overrides the reflex. He maintains the gap between the trigger and the action. He looks at his team and speaks in a low, calm voice. Okay, the situation has changed. Let's assess our options. What is the first move? What happens to the room? The panic evaporates. They see their leader, a rock. They see stability. If the leader isn't panicking, why should they? They stop looking for exits and start looking for solutions. By refusing to react, the leader has retained total control. He has commanded respect without raising his voice. Reaction is weakness. Response is power. You have a choice. Every single day you are presented with 1,000 choices. The world throws chaos at you. It throws insults, traffic, delays, failures, and disrespect. You cannot control the chaos. You can never control the external world, but you have a choice in how you process it.
When you react, you are choosing to be a victim of circumstance. You are choosing to let the external world dictate your internal state. You are essentially saying, I have no fortitude. I have no walls. Whatever happens out there happens in here. That is a dangerous way to live. It is an exhausting way to live. You are constantly tossed around by the waves of life, drowning in every little storm. To break the slave mindset, you must first acknowledge that it exists. You must catch yourself in the act. You must realize that your anger, your frustration, your immediate snapback, these are not signs of strength. They are signs that your defenses have been breached. Think about the most powerful people in history. Think about the Stoics. Think about the high-level operators. Think about the great negotiators. Do they rush? Do they scream? Do they let you see them sweat? No, they are terrifyingly calm. They are calm because they are processing. They are not reacting to you. They are analyzing you. They are deciding what to do with you. That is the position you must claim. You must move from the passenger seat to the driver's seat. It starts with a shift in identity. You must stop identifying as your emotions. You are not your anger. You are not your fear. You are the entity that observes those things. When you feel the urge to snap, you must visualize that urge as a separate entity. It is a biological glitch. It is a weakness trying to surface. You don't need their permission to be calm. You don't need the world to be fair for you to be steady. You simply need to decide that your mind is a fortress, and the drawbridge only lowers when you give the command. Every time you stop yourself from snapping at your spouse, you are breaking a chain. Every time you refuse to honk the horn in traffic, you are breaking a chain. Every time you delete that angry comment before posting it, you are breaking a chain. Reaction is weakness. Response is power. This is not about suppressing your emotions until you explode. It is not about becoming a robot. It is about processing. It is about filtration. It is about ensuring that when you do speak, when you do act, it is effective. A reactive punch is usually wild and misses the mark. A responsive punch is calculated, aimed, and devastating. The slave lashes out and misses. The master waits and strikes. You have lived long enough as a slave. You have spent years apologizing for things you said in the heat of the moment. You have spent years regretting decisions made in a split second of panic. You have paid the tax of the slave mindset for too long. It stops today. But to stop it, we have to go deeper than just willpower. We have to understand the biology of the beast. We have to understand why your body betrays you before your mind even has a chance to catch up. You have identified the enemy, the slave mindset. Now we must dismantle the mechanism that keeps it alive. You have decided to stop being a slave. You have decided that reaction is weakness. Now, let's learn how to physically override the system.
Chapter 2. Kill the reflex. Your body is designed to survive. It is not designed to succeed. Understanding this distinction is the most important step you will take in mastering your mind. Your biological hardware was built for a world that no longer exists. It was built for the jungle. It was built for the savannah. It was built for a world where a rustle in the bushes meant a predator was about to eat you. In that world, speed was life. If you heard a noise, you didn't pause, you didn't analyze, you ran. Or you fought. The reaction had to be instant. If you took 2 seconds to think, is that a tiger or just the wind? You were dead. So, nature gave you a gift. It gave you a reflex. It gave you the amygdala. It gave you the fight or flight response. This is a system that bypasses your logical brain entirely. It sends a bolt of lightning straight to your muscles. It pumps your blood with cortisol and adrenaline. It shuts down your digestion, narrows your vision, and prepares you for violence or escape. But you are not in the jungle. You are in an office. You are in a relationship. You are in a negotiation. When your boss sends you a rude email, there is no tiger. When your spouse criticizes your spending, there is no predator. When someone cuts you off in traffic, your life is not actually in danger. But your body doesn't know that. Your body treats an insult exactly the same way it treats a physical threat. The biological mechanism is identical. Your heart rate spikes. Your hands shake. Your logic center, the prefrontal cortex, shuts down. You become stupid. You become reactive. You become an animal. This is what I call the glitch. In the modern world, your survival instincts are false positives. They are errors in the code. Every time you snap back at someone because they hurt your feelings, you are suffering from a system failure. You are letting outdated software ruin your life. Override the instinct. Do not flinch. You must view this reflex as an enemy. It is a biological traitor living inside your own skin. It wants you to survive, but it doesn't care if you are respected. It doesn't care if you are wealthy. It doesn't care if you are happy. It only cares that you are fast. But in the modern world, fast is often fatal. Fast gets you fired. Fast destroys your marriage. Fast loses the deal. You have a choice. You can continue to let this biological glitch run your life, or you can take manual control of the system. Let's look at the mechanics of the flinch.
Imagine a boxer. A novice steps into the ring for the first time. He is strong. He is fast. He thinks he is ready, but he has never been hit in the face before. His opponent throws a jab. It's a fast, straight punch aimed right at the nose. What does the novice do? He blinks. He turns his head away. He pulls back. He flinches. This is natural. This is biology. His brain screams, "Danger! Protect the eyes!" So he closes them. And what happens? Because he closed his eyes, he cannot see the second punch coming. Because he turned his head away, he exposed his jaw. He gets knocked out. The flinch caused his defeat. The instinct to protect himself actually ensured his destruction. Now look at the professional fighter, the champion. He has the same biology. He has the same amygdala. He feels the same fear, but he has trained himself to kill the reflex. When the punch comes, he does not blink. He keeps his eyes wide open. He watches the glove coming toward his face. He suppresses the urge to turn away. He leans back just 1 inch, just enough to let the punch miss, and because his eyes are open, he sees the opening. He counters, he wins. The champion wins because he overwrote his biological programming. He replaced the instinct of fear with the discipline of focus. Override the instinct. Do not flinch. This is exactly what happens in your daily life. An argument is a punch. An insult is a jab. A crisis at work is a hook. When these things happen, your internal novice wants to flinch. You want to yell. You want to shut down. You want to type that angry text message in all caps. That is you closing your eyes. That is you turning your head away. And just like the novice boxer, when you react blindly, you expose your jaw. You say something you can't take back. You reveal your insecurity. You show the world that you can be rattled. You get knocked out. You don't need their permission to stay calm. You don't need the situation to be easy. You need to keep your eyes open when the punch is coming. It's not about courage. It's about discipline.
It is about recognizing the physical sensation of the glitch. You know the feeling. The heat in the chest, the tightening of the throat, the buzzing in the ears. Most people feel that heat and immediately act to release it. They think, "I am angry, so I must yell." No, you have a choice. When you feel the heat, that is the signal. That is the warning light on the dashboard. It means the glitch is active. It means your logic is being hijacked. That is the exact moment you must do nothing. Do not speak, do not type, do not move. Override the instinct. Do not flinch. You must separate the sensation from the action. Just because you feel angry does not mean you have to act angry. Just because you feel fear does not mean you have to act afraid. You are not an animal. A dog has no choice. If you step on a dog's tail, it bites. It cannot ponder the consequences. It cannot think about the future. It is a slave to the nerve impulse. You are a human being. You have the capacity to feel pain and choose not to scream. You have the capacity to feel rage and choose silence. That gap between feeling and doing is what makes you human. It is what makes you a leader. If you cannot master this, you will never lead anyone. How can you lead others if you cannot even lead your own biology? The next time you feel that surge, I want you to visualize the boxer. I want you to see the punch coming. I want you to feel the urge to close your eyes, and I want you to refuse. Stare at the threat. Look at the email that made you angry. Read it again. Let the heat rise, and then hold it there. Don't let it out. Keep your eyes open. The reflex is fast, but it is stupid. It burns out quickly. If you can withstand the first 3 seconds of the urge, the chemical tide begins to recede. The cortisol drops, the logic turns back on, the prefrontal cortex reboots. Suddenly, you aren't just reacting, you are thinking. You see the trap, you see the opening, you see the solution that the angry version of you would have missed.
That is the power of killing the reflex. You stop playing the game on their terms. You stop being a predictable biological machine. Override the instinct. Do not flinch. This requires practice. You will fail. You will snap. You will flinch. But every time you do, you must analyze it. You must look at yourself in the mirror and admit, I let the animal win. I let the glitch run the system. Stop excusing your behavior. Stop saying, well, they made me mad. No one makes you mad. You allow yourself to react. You allow the button to be pushed. It's not about their behavior, it's about your discipline. You are rewriting your code. You are upgrading your operating system from survivor to commander. The survivor flinches at every shadow. The commander stands still in the storm. You have now identified the enemy. It is not the world outside. It is the reflex inside. You understand that this is a biological error that must be corrected. You know that you must override the instinct. But knowing is not enough. You need a tool. You need a specific tactical mechanism to insert into that split second of chaos. You need a physical action that forces the brain to switch gears. You need to know exactly what to do in the gap between the trigger and the response. You have killed the reflex. Now, let's build the pause.
Chapter 3. The 1 second gap. The tactical pause. You have identified the enemy. You know that the reflex is a biological glitch designed to make you survive, not to make you thrive. You know you must kill it. But knowing the theory is useless without the mechanic. You cannot just will yourself to be calm. You need a tactic. You need a physical protocol that you can deploy when the world is burning down around you. We call this the 1 second gap. In the military, in high-level negotiations, in elite sports, there is a universal truth. Speed kills. If you rush into a room without checking the corners, you die. If you sign a contract without reading the fine print, you go bankrupt. If you throw a pass without reading the defense, you lose the game. Yet in your emotional life, you rush everything. You treat every conversation like a race. You think that if you don't respond immediately, you are weak. You think silence is a sign of defeat. You are wrong. Immediate reaction is the hallmark of an amateur. The professional waits. The professional creates space. This is the core mechanic of this entire book. It is the bridge between the animal and the master. It is the tactical pause. Wait, breathe, execute. Here's how it works. The trigger happens. The insult is thrown. The mistake is discovered. The car cuts you off. The adrenaline dumps into your system. Your body screams, go, yell, hit, type. In that exact moment, you must deploy the gap. You must physically stop. I mean this literally. Stop moving. If you are walking, stop. If your hands are reaching for the keyboard, pull them back. If your mouth is opening to speak, shut it. You have a choice. You can follow the momentum of the chaos, or you can build a wall. Step 1 is wait. You must freeze time. You must refuse to accept the urgency of the situation. Most emergencies are not emergencies. They are just people with poor emotional control trying to infect you with their panic. Do not accept the infection.
Step 2 is breathe. This is not some soft spiritual advice. This is physiology. When you are triggered, you stop breathing, or you breathe shallowly into your upper chest.
This starves your brain of oxygen and tells your nervous system that you are in a fight. You are suffocating your own logic. You must take one deep, deliberate breath. Through the nose, into the diaphragm, out through the mouth. This single breath is the reset button. It forces the parasympathetic nervous system to engage. It tells your brain, we are not dying. We are not fighting a tiger. We are safe. In the time it takes to inhale and exhale, your IQ points return. The red fog lifts. The tunnel vision widens. Wait, breathe, execute. Step 3 is execute. Only after the wait and after the breath do you allow yourself to move. Now, your action is a choice, not a spasm. Now your words are a weapon, not a shield. Let's look at history. This is not a new invention. The Stoics mastered this 2,000 years ago. There is a story of the Roman Emperor Augustus. He was the most powerful man on earth, yet he struggled with a temper. He was prone to violent outbursts that he would later regret. He sought the counsel of the philosopher Athenodorus. The philosopher gave him a specific instruction. He told the emperor, whenever you feel anger rising, do not speak, do not give an order, and do not act until you have silently recited the entire alphabet to yourself. Think about that. The ruler of the known world, standing in his palace, facing a crisis, silently counting his ABCs. Why? Was it magic? No, it was a tactical pause. The alphabet takes time. It takes focus. You cannot recite the alphabet and scream in rage at the same time. The brain cannot hold both patterns. By forcing his mind to perform a simple, logical, sequential task, he hijacked the energy away from his amygdala and back to his rational mind. By the time he reached Z, the impulse to kill the messenger had passed. The logic had returned. He could make a decision that would strengthen the empire, rather than one that would satisfy his ego. Wait, breathe, execute. You don't need to recite the alphabet, but you need your own version of that buffer. You need the 1 second gap. In the modern world, 1 second is an eternity. When someone screams at you and you stare at them for 1 full second without blinking, without speaking, you shift the power dynamic instantly.
They expect resistance. They expect you to scream back. When you don't, they stumble. They wonder what you are thinking. They wonder what you know that they don't. You don't need their permission to take your time. When you pause, you are telling the other person, I operate on my own clock. Your urgency is not my urgency. That's the key. Let's apply this to a real scenario. You are in a meeting. A colleague tries to throw you under the bus. They make a snide comment about your performance in front of the boss. The slave mindset, chapter 1, wants to interrupt and defend. That's not true. I did the work. The reflex, chapter 2, creates a spike of heat in your chest. But you are a master. You apply the gap. You look at them. You do not speak. You take 1 slow, silent breath through your nose. You let the silence hang in the air for just 1 beat longer than is comfortable. In that 1 second, you assess the attack. You realize they are insecure. You realize they are trying to bait you. You realize that if you get angry, you look guilty, but if you stay calm, they look petty. So you decide to execute a question instead of a defense. You say calmly, "Can you clarify exactly what data you are basing that on?" You win. You won because you waited. You won because you breathed. You won because you executed a plan, not a reflex. Wait. Breathe. Execute.
It's not about slowness, it's about accuracy. A sniper does not pull the trigger the moment he sees the target. He exhales, he pauses between heartbeats, he waits for the perfect moment. That pause ensures the kill. You are a sniper of communication. You are a sniper of decision-making. Every time you rush, you are spraying bullets blindly into the dark. You are making noise, but you are hitting nothing. You must practice this gap in low-stakes environments. Do not wait for the divorce argument to try this. Try it at the grocery store. When the cashier is slow, wait, breathe, execute patience. When your phone freezes, wait, breathe, put it down. When you drop your keys, wait, breathe, pick them up slowly. Build the neural pathway. Train your brain that stress is the trigger for stillness, not speed. This is the transformation. You are rewiring your default setting. Currently, your default is stimulus, reaction. The new default is stimulus, pause, choice, action. That pause choice section is where your freedom lives. That is where your dignity lives. You will find that the people around you start to treat you differently. People respect a man who cannot be rushed. People fear a man who thinks before he speaks. It signals a dangerous level of self-control. When you answer immediately, you are predictable. When you pause, you are a mystery. It is not about intelligence, it is about discipline. There are geniuses who ruin their lives because they cannot pause. There are average men who build empires because they never make an impulsive mistake. The gap is your fortress. When you step into the gap, nothing can touch you. You are behind the walls, you can watch the arrows fly by, you can watch the other person exhaust themselves, and then, when you are ready, you open the gate and march out. Wait, breathe, execute. You have a choice. You can be the leaf blown by the wind, or you can be the wall that stops the wind. The difference is 1 second. 1 second of silence, 1 second of oxygen, 1 second of control. Master the gap, and you master the outcome. But there is something that lives inside that gap. There is a specific tool that you must learn to wield once you have created the space. You have stopped the noise, you have taken the breath, now you are staring at the other person. What do you do next? Do you fill the air with words? Do you start explaining yourself? No, you do the opposite. You use the most terrifying weapon in the human arsenal. You use the void. You stop the reaction. Now let's talk about how to weaponize the quiet. Chapter 4. Silence is the ultimate weapon. You have learned to kill the reflex. You have learned to take the breath. Now you find yourself in the gap. You are standing in the 1 second gap, and the world is waiting for you to speak. The world is waiting for you to defend yourself, to explain yourself, to fill the air with noise. Most people panic in this moment. They feel the silence like a physical weight on their chest. They feel it is awkward. They feel the desperate need to break the tension. So they start talking. They babble, they stutter, they offer excuses, they negotiate against themselves. This is a mistake. This is the hallmark of the insecure. You have a choice. You can be the nervous child who fills the silence with noise, or you can be the predator who uses silence as a trap. Silence is not empty. Silence is heavy. Silence is not a lack of action. It is the most aggressive action you can take in a conversation without raising a hand. Silence screams confidence. Let's understand why silence is so terrifying to the average person. We are social creatures. We are programmed to connect. When a conversation flows, we feel safe. When the conversation stops, we feel disconnected. Our brains interpret silence as rejection. We think, they aren't talking. That means they don't like me. That means they are judging me. That means I am in danger. So, the weak man rushes to fix it. He vomits words into the void to make the feeling of rejection go away. But you? You are no longer average. You are learning to master your impulses. You are going to use this psychological glitch against your opponents. You don't need their permission to be quiet. You don't need to make them feel comfortable. In fact, in a confrontation, their comfort is your enemy. Let's look at the ultimate arena of silence, the negotiation. Imagine two men sitting at a table. One is a master, the other is an amateur. The amateur is selling a house. He wants $500,000. The master looks at the house. He looks at the amateur. He says, "I'll give you $450,000. The amateur says, "I can't do that. I need $500,000. Now watch what happens. The master does not argue. He does not explain why $450,000 is a fair price. He does not get angry. He simply leans back. He maintains eye contact, and he says absolutely nothing. He deploys the weapon. 1 second passes. 2 seconds. 5 seconds.
The silence in the room becomes deafening. The amateur's brain starts to panic. The amateur thinks, he's not talking. He's going to walk away. I offended him. I'm going to lose the sale. The pressure builds inside his chest. He has to release the pressure. So, the amateur speaks. Well, the market is tough right now, but maybe I could do $480,000? The master has not said a word. He has not moved a muscle. Yet he just made $20,000 in 5 seconds. How? He let the silence do the work. He let the amateur bid against himself. He created a vacuum, and the amateur filled it with his own money. Silence screams confidence. If the master had started arguing, your roof is bad, the market is down, $500,000 is too high, the amateur would have defended his price. He would have dug in. Arguments create resistance. Silence creates compliance. That is the key. When you argue, you give the other person a wall to push against. When you are silent, they fall forward because there is nothing there to resist them. You must apply this to your life immediately. Think about when you make a mistake. You show up late to work. Your boss is standing there. The slate mindset starts babbling. I'm so sorry, boss. The traffic was insane. There was this accident on the highway and my alarm didn't go off and... Stop. You sound weak. You sound guilty. You are trying to talk your way out of the penalty, and it makes you look small. The master mindset? You walk in. You look the boss in the eye. You say, I'm late. It won't happen again. And then you stop talking. You go to work. There is no excuse. There is no story. There is only ownership and silence. The boss respects this. He respects it because it shows you are not afraid of the consequences. It shows you are in control of your own conduct. Silence screams confidence. It's not about being rude. It's about discipline. It takes immense discipline to shut your mouth when your ego wants to tell a story. It takes immense discipline to let a moment hang in the air when your anxiety is screaming at you to fix it. Here's a rule you must live by. The person who talks the most in a confrontation is the person who is losing.
The person talking is the person explaining. The person explaining is the person on the defense. The person listening, the person judging, is the one in control. When someone insults you and you launch into a 5-minute monologue about why they are wrong, you have lost. You have just proven that their opinion matters to you. You have proven that they have the power to make you dance. But if they insult you and you look at them with total indifference and say nothing, you destroy them. Your silence tells them, "Your words are so meaningless to me that they do not even warrant a response." That is true power. That is the fortress of calm we are building. You have a choice. You can be the noise, or you can be the signal. Start practicing the 3-second rule. In every interaction today, when someone asks you a question or finishes a sentence, do not answer immediately. Count to 3 in your head. 1, 2, 3. Watch their face. Watch them squirm slightly. Watch them wonder if you heard them. Watch them wonder if you agree. In that 3-second window, you gain authority. You signal that you are thinking before you speak. You signal that you are not a reflex machine. And often, in those 3 seconds, they will start talking again. They will reveal more information. They will tell you the truth they were trying to hide. Did you finish the report? Because, if you didn't, I can help you. I know the deadline was tight. Boom. They just revealed they are worried about the deadline. You didn't even have to ask. The vacuum pulled the truth out of them. Silence screams confidence. You must also learn to be silent with yourself. The constant self-narrating, the constant justifying, the constant worrying, it is all chatter. When you practice external silence, you begin to cultivate internal silence. You stop needing to prove yourself to every person you meet. You stop needing to win every verbal sparring match. You realize that the lion does not roar at the mouse. The lion simply ignores it. When you master the pause and you fill that pause with silence, you become a mirror. The other person sees themselves. If they are angry, they see their own anger bouncing back off your stone face. If they are lying, they hear their own lies echoing in the quiet room. You force them to deal with themselves because you refuse to engage with their chaos. It's not about arrogance, it's about efficiency. Words are a currency. If you spend them all the time, they become cheap. If you talk constantly, no one listens. But if you are a man of few words, when you finally speak, people lean in. The room goes quiet. Your words have weight because they are rare. Stop bankrupting your authority by spending your words on people who don't deserve them. Override the urge to fill the void. Let the silence hang. Let it be heavy. Let them carry the weight of it. You are strong enough to hold it. They are not. Silence screams confidence. You have killed the reflex. You have opened the gap. You have filled it with silence, and you have watched your opponent crumble under the pressure of the quiet. Now, while they are babbling, while they are revealing their hand, while they are exposing their weaknesses, what are you doing? You are not just staring blankly. You are working. You are gathering data. You are analyzing. You have stopped the output. Now you must maximize the input. You must learn to see the world not as a participant, but as a scientist looking at a slide. You must learn the art of detachment.
Chapter 5. Observe, don't absorb. You are walking through life like a sponge. You are walking through the world soaking up every toxic fluid that is spilled on you. Someone is angry, you absorb it, and now you are angry. Someone is anxious,
You absorb it, and now you are shaking. Someone is depressed? You absorb it, and now your day is ruined. You are carrying the emotional weight of everyone around you. No wonder you are exhausted. No wonder you are heavy. You are walking around wet, cold, and miserable because you do not know how to separate yourself from the environment. You have forgotten the most fundamental truth of your existence. You are the container, not the content. You need to learn the art of disassociation. You need to learn how to stand in the middle of a fire and not burn. You need to understand the difference between experiencing an emotion and becoming that emotion. You are the observer. You are not the feeling. Let's define the difference. When an average man feels rage, he says, "I am angry." Language matters. He uses the word "I am." He is defining his identity by his temporary emotional state. He is telling his brain that he and the anger are the same thing. Because he is the anger, he must act out the anger. He has no choice. The sponge is full. The master feels the same rage. But he says to himself, "I notice that there is anger in my body." Do you see the difference? It is subtle, but it changes everything. In the first scenario, you are the emotion. In the second scenario, you are watching the emotion. You are viewing it as an object. You are viewing it as a passing cloud. You are viewing it as data on a screen. You have a choice. You can be the screen, or you can be the movie. The movie is chaotic. The movie has explosions, tears, and screams. But the screen? The screen is white. The screen is clean. The screen is untouched by the tragedy playing out on its surface. That's the key. You must become the screen. Imagine you are a scientist in a high-tech laboratory. You are studying a dangerous, volatile storm. But you are not standing outside in the rain. You are not struck by lightning. You are standing inside a reinforced concrete bunker looking through a foot-thick pane of bulletproof glass. Outside, the storm is raging. The wind is howling. The trees are snapping. That storm is your anger. That storm is your fear. That storm is the insult someone just threw at your face. The average man opens the door and runs out into the storm. He gets wet, he gets cold, he gets blown away, he absorbs the chaos. But you stay behind the glass. You look at the storm. You take out your clipboard. You take notes. You say, "Look at that. The wind speed is high today. The thunder is loud. Interesting." You are close enough to see it, but you are too protected to be hurt by it. You are dry. You are safe. You are logical.
You are the observer. You are not the feeling. This practice is called observe, don't absorb. When someone is screaming at you, they are trying to infect you. They are vomiting their lack of control onto you. They want you to catch their virus. They want you to vibrate at their frequency. If you absorb it, you lose. You become just another sick patient in the ward. But if you observe it, you look at them. You see their face turning red. You see the veins in their neck popping out. You hear the pitch of their voice rising. Instead of thinking, "He is attacking me," you think, "This person is losing control." Look at the symptoms. Look at the lack of discipline. Suddenly, you are not a victim. You are a doctor. You are diagnosing a pathology. And a doctor does not get angry at the patient for being sick. The doctor stays calm so he can operate. You don't need their permission to stay dry. You don't need to join them in the mud just to make them feel better. It's not about apathy, it's about insulation. You care about the outcome, you care about the result, but you refuse to let the process destroy your internal machinery. Think of your mind as a pristine operating room. It must remain sterile. Emotions are bacteria. If you let the bacteria in, the patient dies.
You must keep the contaminants out. You must keep the fear, the doubt, and the rage outside the glass. You act from the data, not the drama. I feel fear. Good, that is data. Observe it. Why is it there? Is there a real danger? No, I am just afraid of public speaking. Okay, the data says there is no physical threat. The data says it is just a chemical spike. Observe it, let it pass, walk on stage. I feel insulted. Good, that is data. Observe it. Why did that hurt? Is there truth in what they said? No, they are lying to hurt me. Okay, the data says they are a liar. Why should I react to a liar? Observe it, let it pass, walk away. This is the ultimate freedom. When you realize that feelings are just suggestions, you stop taking orders from them. You are the observer. You are not the feeling. Most people live their lives as slaves to their chemical spikes. They wake up sad, so they have a bad day. They wake up anxious, so they don't do the work. They are pushed and pulled by the tides of their own blood. You must step out of the river and stand on the bank. Watch the water flow by. Sometimes the water is clear, sometimes it is muddy. It doesn't matter. You are not the water. You are the bank. This requires a mental trigger. When the heat rises, when the pressure hits, you must visualize the glass wall.
Visualizing the glass wall is a transformation. Someone insults you. Clang. The words hit the glass. They didn't hit you. They hit the invisible shield 2 inches in front of your face. You look at the words sliding down the glass like mud. You think, that was rude. But you don't feel it in your gut. You don't let it pierce the skin. You have a choice. You can open the window and let the mud in, or you can keep the window closed and just watch. The most powerful men in the world are masters of this. Watch a president during a crisis. Watch a general during a war. They're surrounded by death, chaos, and screaming. But look at their eyes. There is a detachment, a coldness. Some people call this coldness a flaw. They say it is inhuman. They are wrong. It is not about being cold. It is about being effective. If the general cries every time a soldier falls, the general cannot command. If the surgeon faints at the sight of blood, the surgeon cannot cut. You must be cold to the emotion so you can be warm to the solution. You must care enough to solve the problem, but not enough to be drowned by it. You are the observer. You are not the feeling. Practice this today. When you feel a negative emotion arise, do not say, I am. Say, I feel. Better yet, say, there is. There is anxiety in my chest. There is frustration in my mind. By saying there is, you are locating it. You are identifying it as a foreign object. You are confirming that it is not you. It is just something passing through you. Treat your emotions like the weather. You cannot stop the rain. You cannot stop the wind. But you don't have to become the rain. You don't have to become the wind. You can put on a raincoat. You can watch it from the window. You can wait for it to pass. And it always passes. That is the secret that the observer knows. The observer knows that no storm lasts forever. The observer knows that if he just waits, the sun will come out. The sponge, however, stays wet long after the rain stops. Don't be the sponge. Be the scientist. Observe the panic. Observe the urge to quit. Observe the desire to yell. Look at it with curiosity. Look at how weak my brain wants to be right now. Interesting. By judging the emotion as an external object, you strip it of its power. You turn a monster into a mouse. You are the observer. You are not the feeling. But there is one specific emotion, one specific voice inside your head that is the hardest to observe. It is the voice that screams the loudest. It is the voice that tells you that you are special,
that you are right, and that you must be respected at all costs. It is the voice that disguises itself as you. It is the ultimate liar. And if you listen to it, it will convince you that observing is weak and that reacting is strong. We have built the glass wall. Now, we must identify the traitor standing inside the bunker with you. Chapter 6. Your ego is a liar. There is a voice in your head that is destroying your life. It is not the voice of survival. It is not the voice of reason. It is the voice of vanity. It is the voice of your ego. And your ego is a liar. Most of the time, when you react impulsively, when you snap, when you lose control, you tell yourself it is because of justice. You tell yourself it is because of principle. You tell yourself, I cannot let him get away with that. I have to stand up for myself. This is a lie. You are not standing up for yourself. You are standing up for a false image of yourself. You are protecting a fragile narrative that says, I am important, I am to be feared, I am the center of the universe. When that image is threatened, you lash out. You burn bridges. You destroy relationships. You risk your safety, all to protect a ghost. It is not about you. Kill the ego. Let's look at the single most pathetic display of the ego in modern society: road rage. You are driving down the highway at 70 miles per hour. You are in a 2-ton metal machine. A stranger in another car merges into your lane without looking. He cuts you off. You have to tap the brakes. What happens next? If you are a slave to the ego, you take it personally. Your brain screams, he disrespected me. He thinks I am weak. He thinks he can dominate me. So what do? You speed up. You ride his bumper. You flash your lights. You pull up next to him and scream through the glass. You flip him off. You risk a high-speed collision. You risk getting shot. You risk never seeing your family again. For what? To prove a point to a stranger you will never see again? To teach a lesson to a man who isn't listening? That is the ego lying to you. The ego tells you that his bad driving was an attack on your character. The ego tells you that if you don't fight back, you are a coward. But here is the truth. The other driver doesn't know you. He doesn't care about you. He is likely distracted, stupid, or in a rush. His action had nothing to do with your value as a human being. But because you made it about you, you handed him the keys to your life. You let a stranger dictate your emotional state and your physical safety. It is not about you. Kill the ego. The ego convinces you that you must be right at all costs. It convinces you that being right is more important than being happy, more important than being effective, and more important than being safe.
Look at your arguments at home. Look at the fights you have with your spouse. How many times have you been 5 minutes into an argument, realized you were actually wrong, or realized the fight was pointless, but you kept fighting anyway? You kept arguing. You kept digging in. You refused to apologize. Why? Because the ego cannot survive an apology. The ego views an apology as a death sentence. To the ego, admitting a mistake is the same as being annihilated. So it lies. It says, if you back down now, you lose power. So you destroy the evening. You say hurtful things. You damage the trust in your marriage, all to win an argument that doesn't matter. You won the battle, but you are losing the war. You have a choice. You can be right, or you can be effective. You often cannot be both. The master understands that the ego is a liability. In the military, in business, in the martial arts, the ego gets you killed.
The moment you start worrying about how you look, you stop focusing on what is happening. If a boxer gets hit and gets angry, he gets sloppy. He wants to hurt the other guy to prove he's tough. He swings wild. He leaves himself open. He gets knocked out. If a businessman gets insulted in a negotiation and decides to show them who's boss, he overplays his hand. He kills the deal. He loses the money. The master does not care about being right. The master cares about the outcome. That's the key. You must detach your sense of self-worth from the immediate feedback of the world. You do not need the world to clap for you. You don't need the world to bow to you. You do not need their permission to know your own value. When you know who you are, disrespect cannot touch you. If you are a billionaire and a homeless man screams that you are poor, do you get angry? Do you stop and argue with him? Do you pull out your bank statements to prove him wrong? No. You keep walking. You don't react because you know the truth. His words do not change your bank account. But if you are insecure about your money and someone calls you poor, then you fight, then you argue, then you flash your watch. The size of your reaction is a direct measurement of your insecurity. The louder you scream, the weaker you are. It is not about you. Kill the ego. You must stop taking everything personally. The world is not happening to you. The world is just happening.
Your boss is cranky? It's not because he hates you. It's because his wife is leaving him. The clerk is rude? It's not because she disrespects you. It's because her feet hurt. The driver cut you off? It's not because he is challenging your dominance. It's because he is an idiot. When you remove the me from the equation, the anger vanishes. If it's not about you, there is nothing to defend. If there is nothing to defend, there is no need to attack. You simply observe, you navigate, you move on. This is the ultimate discipline. It is easy to be disciplined when people are praising you. It is easy to be calm when things are going your way. The test is when you are disrespected. The test is when you are interrupted. The test is when someone questions your authority. In that moment, the liar will scream. Attack him, crush him. Do not let him speak to us like that. You have a choice. You can listen to the liar and throw a tantrum like a toddler, or you can silence the liar and act like a king. A king does not engage in street fights. A king does not shout at peasants. A king does not need to prove he is a king. His presence is the proof. It's not about pride, it's about discipline. You need to cultivate a state of strategic humility. This doesn't mean you are weak. It doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It means you only fight battles that have a strategic reward. Fighting for your reputation on Twitter? Zero strategic reward. Pure ego. Fighting the guy in traffic? Negative strategic reward. Pure ego. Fighting to prove you are the smartest person in the meeting? Zero strategic reward. Pure ego. Save your aggression for the things that actually advance your life. Save your energy for your mission, not your image. Every time you feel that spike of, "How dare they?" I want you to laugh at it. I want you to recognize it as a trap. Someone insults you, the ego says, "Kill." The master says, "This person is trying to manipulate me by targeting my vanity. I will not allow it." You smile, you nod, you say nothing. Or you say, "You might be right." Do you know how much power there is in saying, "You might be right," to someone who is trying to pick a fight? It disarms them completely. It gives them nowhere to go. You stepped out of the way, and they swung at the air. You win by not playing. It is not about you. Kill the ego. You must wake up every morning and put the ego in a cage. It will try to break out all day. It feeds on validation. Starve it. Stop looking for compliments. Stop fishing for likes. Stop waiting for people to notice your hard work. Notice it yourself. Validate yourself.
When you no longer need the world to tell you that you are good, you become unbreakable. When you no longer need to be right, you become open to the truth. And the man who sees the truth is the man who wins. The liar tells you that you are the center of the world. The truth is that you are a small part of a big machine. Your job is to function effectively, not to be admired. Get over yourself. There is work to do. You have silenced the liar. You have learned that insults are just noise. You have learned that the road rage, the arguments, the need for validation, it is all just a waste of energy. Now that you have stripped away the vanity, you are ready for the real pressure. We're not talking about hurt feelings anymore. We're talking about high-stakes chaos. We're talking about moments where the clock is ticking and failure means disaster. In those moments, the ego isn't the problem. The problem is the speed of your mind. You need to learn how to manipulate time. You need to learn how the most elite operators in the world handle the panic zone.
Chapter 7. Panic is Death. The Operator's Mindset. When the world falls apart, your instinct is to run. Your instinct is to speed up. Your instinct is to do something, anything, as long as it is fast. You believe that speed is safety. You believe that if you move faster than the problem, you can escape it. You are wrong. In a crisis, speed is not safety. Speed is suicide. When the pressure spikes, when the adrenaline dumps into your blood, your perception of time distorts. This is a phenomenon called tachypsychia. Minutes feel like hours, or seconds feel like milliseconds. Your brain is overwhelmed with data. If you try to match the speed of the chaos, you will crash. You will make a mistake. And in the high-stakes world, one mistake is all it takes to end you. Panic is death. It is the death of logic. It is the death of strategy. It is the death of the outcome. You must adopt the operator's mindset. Look at the most elite warriors on the planet. Look at Special Forces operators. Look at SWAT teams. Watch how they move when bullets are flying. Watch how they move when they are breaching a building filled with hostiles. Do they run? Do they scream? Do they burst into the room flailing their weapons? No. They move with a terrifying, deliberate slowness. They call it deliberate urgency. They have a mantra that is drilled into their heads until it replaces their fear. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast. They know a secret that you have ignored. They know that rushing creates drag. Rushing creates fumbles. Rushing creates tunnel vision. If you rush to reload your weapon, you drop the magazine. Now you are dead. If you rush through the door without checking the corner, you get shot. Now you are dead. The only way to survive the chaos is to force the clock to slow down. Slow down, assess, move. This is the algorithm of survival. It applies to a gunfight, and it applies to a bankruptcy. It applies to a car accident, and it applies to a failing marriage. You have a choice. You can let the panic drive you off the cliff, or you can take the wheel and drive slowly through the storm. Let's break down the mechanics of a room clear. Imagine a team of operators stacking up outside a door. They know there are armed men inside. The average man would kick the door and rush in, hoping to shoot faster than the enemy. The average man would die.
The operator kicks the door, but he does not rush in. He stops at the threshold. He cuts the pie. He leans in, checking 1 degree of the room at a time. He clears the fatal funnel. He checks his corner. He identifies the threat. Only then, once he has processed the visual data, does he enter and engage. He does this in seconds, but he never rushes. To the outsider, it looks fast. To the operator, it feels like he is moving underwater. He is processing every pixel before he commits his body. He knows that if he misses a detail, the mission fails. Slow down, assess, move. Now look at your life. When a crisis hits, do you cut the pie? Or do you kick the door and run in blind? Your boss calls you into the office. We have a major problem with the account. Panic hits, you start talking. I can fix it, I'll call them right now, I'll send the email. You rush out. You call the client. You sound desperate. You promise things you can't deliver. You make the problem 10 times worse because you didn't understand the full scope of the issue before you acted. You ran into the room without checking the corners. You got killed. That's the key. You must stop equating activity with progress. Just because you are moving doesn't mean you are fixing anything. You are likely just making a mess faster. When the bad news hits, you must apply the brakes. Step 1. Slow down. Physically slow your body. If you are typing, stop typing. If you are walking, stop walking. Force your breathing to a rhythm. By slowing your body, you trick your brain into believing you are safe. You cannot panic if you are moving like a sloth. Step 2. Assess. Look at the data. What actually happened? Not what you fear happened, but what actually happened. I lost my wallet. Panic says, cancel all cards, call the police, I'm going to be robbed. Assessment says, when did I have it last? I was at the coffee shop. It is likely there. Let me check the car first. Step 3. Move. Once you have a target, you strike. And when you strike, you do it with total commitment. Because you took the time to aim, you do not need to hesitate when you pull the trigger. Slow down, assess, move. It's not about laziness, it's about precision. A surgeon in the emergency room does not rush. If an artery is cut and blood is spraying at the ceiling, the amateur screams and grabs the towel. The master surgeon stands still. He looks at the wound. He locates the source. He clamps it with a single deliberate motion. He saved the patient because he refused to panic. He refused to let the urgency of the blood dictate the speed of his hands. You don't need their permission to take a minute. When everyone around you is running around like headless chickens, your stillness becomes a command. People will look to you. They will see that you are not affected by the hysteria. They will gravitate toward your calm. Why isn't he panicking? He must have a plan. And you do have a plan. Your plan is to think. You must practice this in the micro moments. The next time you knock a glass of water off the table, watch your reaction. Do you flail and try to catch it, knocking over 2 other things in the process? That is panic. Or do you watch it fall, let it break, and then calmly go get the broom? That is the operator's mindset. The glass is already falling. Rushing won't save it, but rushing might make you step on broken glass. Slow down, assess, move. This is critical in financial decisions. The market crashes. Your portfolio drops 20% in an hour. Panic says, sell everything, stop the bleeding. The operator says, slow down. Why is it dropping? Is the fundamental value changed? No, it is a market correction. Assess. If I sell now, I lock in the loss. If I wait, it recovers. Move. Do nothing. By doing nothing, you saved your retirement. By panicking, you would have destroyed it. You have a choice. You can be the victim of momentum, or you can be the master of momentum. Panic is a liar. Panic tells you that if you don't act right now, you will die. It is almost never true. There are very few situations in modern life that require a split-second physical reaction. Most emergencies can wait 5 minutes. Most disasters can wait an hour. If you act in the first minute of a crisis, you are acting on emotion. If you act in the 10th minute, you are acting on logic. Buy yourself the 10 minutes. "I need an answer right now," screams the client. "I will get you the answer once I have reviewed the file," you reply calmly. "But it's urgent." "I understand. I will call you back in 10 minutes. Click. You just took control. You bought time. Now you can assess. Now you can win. Slow down, assess, move. It is not about speed, it is about discipline. It takes discipline to stand still when your brain is screaming, "Run." It takes discipline to be silent when your fear is screaming, "Scream." But this is what separates the elite from the herd. The herd runs off the cliff together. The wolf stands at the edge and watches. You are the wolf. You are the operator. The next time chaos arrives at your door, and it will arrive, do not open the door and run out. Stand back, check the peephole, unlock the deadbolt, turn the handle, open it slowly. Control the entry, control the room, control the outcome. You have mastered the physical response to crisis. You have learned to slow time down. You have learned to clear the room. But most of your battles will not be physical. They will not be against falling markets or burning buildings. They will be against other people. They will be verbal. They will be arguments designed to drag you into the mud. You know how to assess a physical threat. Now you must learn how to assess a verbal trap. You must learn the art of verbal jujitsu.
Chapter 8. Never argue, always assess. You love to argue. You love the feeling of righteousness. You love the rush of proving someone wrong. You think that when you win an argument, you have gained something. You think that by shouting down your opponent, you have established your dominance. You are wrong. You are losing. Every time you enter an argument, you are stepping into a trap. You are stepping into a pit of mud. Even if you win the wrestling match, you still get covered in mud. You still wasted your energy. You still lowered your dignity to the level of the person screaming at you. An argument is almost never about the truth. It is about energy transfer. When someone attacks you verbally, when they accuse you, blame you, or insult you, they are holding a hot coal of negative emotion. It burns their hand. They want to get rid of it. They want to pass the pain to you. If you argue back, you accept the transfer. You take the hot coal. Now you are burned. Now you are angry. And they feel better because they successfully offloaded their chaos onto you. Don't take the bait. Control the frame. You have a choice. You can be the trash can for other people's emotional garbage, or you can be the wall that bounces it back. The moment you defend yourself, you lose. Read that again. The moment you start explaining yourself, the moment you start saying, "but I didn't," or "that's not fair," you have validated their attack. You have accepted their premise. You have agreed that their accusation is worthy of a response. The master never argues. The master assesses. To the master, a verbal attack is not a fight. It is information. It is data. If a man comes up to you and speaks a language you don't understand, do you get angry? No. You listen. You try to decipher what he is saying. You treat it as a puzzle. You must do the same with anger. When someone screams at you, they are speaking the language of unrefined emotion. Your job is not to scream back in the same language. Your job is to translate. Let's look at the classic example, the service industry. Imagine a customer at a high-end hotel. Something went wrong. The room wasn't ready. The customer is furious. He storms up to the front desk. He's red in the face. He starts shouting at the concierge. "This is incompetent. Do you know who I am? You are an idiot. I want you fired." Now,
Look at the amateur concierge. The amateur takes the bait. His ego, chapter 6, flares up. He says, "Sir, don't talk to me like that. We're doing our best. It's not my fault housekeeping is slow."
What happens? The customer screams louder. "Don't make excuses. I don't care about housekeeping." Now they are locked in a combat loop. The customer attacks, the worker defends. The worker defends, the customer attacks harder. The worker has lost control of the frame. He is now a victim. Don't take the bait, control the frame. Now, look at the master concierge. The customer screams the same insults. "You are an idiot. This is unacceptable." The master does not flinch. He does not apologize yet. He does not defend himself. He waits for the customer to take a breath. He deploys the 1-second gap, chapter 3. And then he asks a question. He says calmly and slowly, "I want to solve this for you immediately." Apart from the room delay, has anything else happened to upset you? Watch the magic. The customer was ready for a fight. He was ready for resistance, but he hit nothing. Instead, he was asked a specific, logical question. To answer the question, the customer's brain has to switch gears. He has to stop screaming and start thinking. He has to access his memory. He has to formulate a sentence. "Well, no, it's just the room. But I've been waiting for an hour." The volume drops. The rage dissipates slightly. The master has taken the coal and dipped it in water. The master follows up. "I understand. If I can get you into a suite in 5 minutes, will that resolve the issue?" The customer blinks. Yes. Yes, that would be fine." The fight is over. The master won. He won because he refused to argue. He won because he turned an emotional attack into a logistical problem. Don't take the bait, control the frame. That is the key. The person asking the questions is the person in charge. In any conversation, the person talking and explaining is the subordinate. The person asking and listening is the leader. When you argue, you are usually the one talking. You are the one trying to convince. You are the one selling. When you assess, you are the buyer. You are evaluating their claims. You are checking their validity. You don't need their permission to interview them. When your spouse starts a fight, stop defending your actions. Start asking about their feelings. "You never listened to me." Don't say, "Yes, I do. I did the dishes yesterday." This is taking the bait. Say, "What specifically did I miss today that made you feel unheard?" Do you see the difference? The first response is a shield. The second response is a scalpel. The shield blocks the blow but keeps the fight going. The scalpel cuts to the infection and drains it. It's not about being right, it's about being effective. You need to understand that most people do not know why they are angry. They are just leaking emotion. If you argue with the leak, you just get wet. If you ask questions, you find the pipe and you patch it. Why are you shouting? What is your goal with this conversation? How do you propose we fix this? These are the weapons of the assessor. They force the other person to be rational, and it is very hard to be rational and hysterical at the same time. You have a choice. You can be a mirror that reflects their chaos back at you, or you can be a black hole that absorbs the noise and gives back silence. When you refuse to argue, you become terrifying to manipulative people. Manipulators rely on your reaction.
They rely on you getting defensive so they can twist your words. If you don't give them words, they can't twist them. If you don't argue, they can't win. It takes two people to have a tug of war. If you drop the rope, they fall on their ass. Drop the rope. Don't take the bait. Control the frame. Next time you are in a meeting and someone questions your data, do not rush to prove them wrong. Lean back. Look at them. That's an interesting perspective. Walk me through how you arrived at that conclusion. Now they have to do the work. Now they have to prove themselves to you. You have flipped the dynamic without raising your voice. You have taken the high ground. This requires you to kill the need to be understood immediately. You have to be okay with them thinking you are wrong for a few minutes. You have to have the confidence to let them air out their nonsense before you dismantle it. The master waits. The master assesses. The master acts. Arguments are for children. Arguments are for people who lack emotional discipline. Arguments are for the slave mindset. You are an operator. Operators do not argue with the enemy. They outmaneuver the enemy. Treat every conflict as an interrogation. You are the interrogator. They are the subject. Your goal is not to beat them. Your goal is to get the truth. And the truth is, most of their anger is fluff. Most of their insults are projections. Once you ask 3 or 4 clarifying questions, the balloon pops. There is nothing left but a small, solvable problem. Don't take the bait. Control the frame. Stop wasting your breath on defense. Use your breath to ask the hard questions. Use your breath to take control of the reality in the room. You have now learned how to handle the immediate threat. You know how to pause, how to stay silent, how to shut down an argument. But what about the slow threats? What about the big decisions that don't happen in seconds, but happen over days? What about the email you want to send that will ruin your career? What about the investment you want to make because of FOMO? You have mastered the second. Now you must master the day. You must learn the rule that saves high performers from self-destruction. You must learn the power of the 24-hour hold.
Chapter 9. The Discipline of Delay. You are addicted to now. You live in a world of instant gratification. You want your food now. You want your entertainment now. You want your answers now. And worst of all, when you feel an emotion, you want to act on it now. You believe that because a feeling is intense, it must be true. You believe that because you are angry right now, you will be angry forever, so you might as well burn the bridge. This is the logic of a child. This is the logic of an addict. And it is the primary reason you have regrets. How many times have you made a permanent decision based on a temporary emotion? You quit the job because you had one bad day. You broke up with the partner because of one bad fight. You bought the expensive car because of one moment of insecurity. And then, time passed. The emotion faded. And you were left standing in the wreckage of your own life wondering, why did I do that? You did it because you lacked the discipline of delay. Time reveals truth. That is the mantra you must burn into your brain. Emotions are lies. They are chemical spikes. They rise, they crest, and they crash. They are volatile. But logic is solid. Logic is constant. The truth of a situation does not change between Tuesday night and Wednesday morning, but your perception of it does. If you act
When the emotion is high, you are acting on a lie. You are making a decision based on data that will not exist in 24 hours. You have a choice. You can let the chemical spike drive the car, or you can park the car and wait for the fog to clear. We've talked about the tactical pause, the 1-second gap to stop a reflex. Now, we are talking about the strategic pause. We are talking about the 24-hour rule. This is mandatory. It is not a suggestion, it is a law for the high-value man. The rule is simple. For any decision that has significant consequences, financial, relational, or professional, you are forbidden from acting for 24 hours. You must sleep on it. You must let the sun go down and come back up. Let's look at the most common trap, the furious email. We have all been there. Someone insults you at work. A client questions your integrity. A partner accuses you of something you didn't do. The rage hits you like a physical blow. You sit down at your keyboard, you start typing. The words flow out of you like lava. You are eloquent, you are vicious, you destroy their arguments, you insult their intelligence, you type out every single thing you have wanted to say for 5 years.
You look at the screen. It is a masterpiece of anger. Your finger hovers over the send button. You feel a desperate need to click it. You feel that if you send it, you will feel better. You feel that justice will be served. That is the trap. That is the ego lying to you. If you click send, you lose. You might win the argument, but you will lose the job. You will lose the client. You will look unhinged. You will look like a liability. Here is the discipline of delay in action. Write the email. Get it all out. Type the curses. Type the insults. Vomit the poison onto the screen. But do not put the recipient's address in the to field. And then, save it as a draft. Close the laptop and walk away. Tell yourself, I will send this tomorrow morning. If I still feel this way at 9 a.m., I will send it. You don't need their permission to wait. You don't need to respond instantly to prove you are tough. Now go to sleep. Something magical happens when you sleep. Your brain processes the chemicals, the cortisol flushes out, the emotional centers cool down, the logic centers reboot. You wake up the next morning. You make your coffee. You open your laptop. You open the drafts folder. You read the email. What is your reaction? Almost 100% of the time, your reaction is horror. You read the words and think, my God, I sound like a lunatic. I sound like a child. If I had sent this, I would be fired. You delete the draft. You write a new email. This one is 3 sentences long. It is calm. It is professional. It solves the problem without burning the house down. Time reveals truth. The truth was that you were just tired and triggered. The truth was that the problem wasn't that big. The delay saved you. That's the key. If an emotion is real, it will still be there tomorrow. If your anger is justified, it will still be justified in 24 hours. If the deal is actually good, it will still be good in 24 hours. If the feeling vanishes overnight, it was never real. It was just noise. And you almost ruined your life over noise. It's not about indecision. It's about discipline.
Weak men think that delaying a decision is a sign of hesitation. They think leaders act fast. No, leaders act decisively. That is different. A leader gathers intelligence. A leader assesses the terrain. A leader waits for the fog to lift. Napoleon Bonaparte, one of the greatest military strategists in history, had a rule. He would not open his mail immediately. He would wait 3 weeks to open his letters. He found that by the time he opened them, most of the emergencies had resolved themselves. The problems that remained were the only ones that actually mattered. You don't need to wait 3 weeks, but you must wait 1 day. Apply this to your wallet. You see something you want to buy. The marketing screams, "Last chance." The FOMO, fear of missing out, kicks in. You reach for the credit card. Stop. Apply the 24-hour rule. If I still want this tomorrow, I will come back and buy it. Walk out of the store, close the browser tab. Guess what happens? You wake up the next day and you don't even remember what it was. You saved your money. You defeated the impulse. Time reveals truth. The truth was that you didn't need it. You just wanted the dopamine hit of buying it. This discipline protects you from manipulators. Salespeople, con artists, and toxic partners all rely on urgency. They try to force you to decide now. Sign the contract now or the deal is gone. If you don't forgive me right now, I'm leaving. This is a tactic. They know that if you have time to think, you will see through their lies. They need you to act while you are blind. When someone pushes you to decide immediately, that is a red flag. That is a siren screaming, "Danger." The only correct response to forced urgency is delay. I don't make decisions of this magnitude without sleeping on them. I will give you my answer tomorrow. If they say, "The deal won't be here tomorrow," then you say, then the answer is no. You have a choice. You can be bullied by a clock, or you can own the clock. If an opportunity is so fragile that it cannot survive 24 hours of scrutiny, it was a trap. If a relationship is so fragile that it cannot survive 1 night of silence, it was already broken. You are building a fortress. A fortress has gates. You do not lower the gates for every stranger who knocks. You check their papers. You verify their identity. You take your time. The drafts folder of your life should be full. It should be full of angry texts you didn't send. It should be full of resignation letters you didn't submit. It should be full of checkout carts you didn't purchase. Those drafts are trophies. They are monuments to your self-control. Every deleted draft is a bullet you dodged. Time reveals truth. Stop fearing the pause. Stop fearing that you are missing out. You're not missing out on anything but regret. The master knows that patience is the ultimate power move. While everyone else is rushing, stumbling, and apologizing, the master is waiting. He is letting the mud settle so the water becomes clear. And when the water is clear, the right action becomes obvious. You don't have to guess. You don't have to stress. You just look at the truth and you execute. You have learned to kill the reflex. You have learned to breathe. You have learned to stay silent. You have learned to observe. You have learned to delay. You have assembled the complete toolkit of the Stoic operator. You have the weapons. But weapons are heavy. Tools require effort. You cannot spend the rest of your life trying to be calm. You cannot spend every day fighting against yourself. The final goal is not to act calm. The final goal is to be calm. The final goal is to reach a state where you no longer need the techniques, because the techniques have become your nature. You are ready for the final transformation. You are ready to become the rock that breaks the waves.
Chapter 10. The Unshakable Mind. We have reached the end of the tactical training. We have covered the breath. We have covered the silence. We have covered the delay. You have filled your toolkit with weapons designed to kill the reflex and defend your sanity. But there is one final level. There is a state of existence that goes beyond techniques. Right now, you are still fighting. You are fighting the urge to scream. You are fighting the urge to panic. You are using your willpower to hold back the beast. This is good, this is necessary, but it is exhausting. If you spend your whole life holding the door shut against the storm, you will eventually get tired. Your muscles will fail. The door will burst open. The goal is not to spend your life resisting the storm. The goal is to become something the storm cannot hurt. The goal is to stop being the boat that is tossed around by the waves and to start being the cliff that breaks them. You must become the unshakable mind. Be the rock. Nothing moves you. Think about a rock in the middle of a raging ocean. The waves crash against it with the force of a freight train. The wind howls. The water rises and falls. Does the rock panic? Does the rock argue with the wave? Does the rock try to negotiate with the storm? No. The rock simply exists. It is heavy. It is grounded. It is ancient. The wave hits the rock and the wave shatters. The rock remains wet, but it does not move. The wave exhausts itself against the granite, and the rock is still standing there, exactly where it was yesterday, exactly where it will be tomorrow. This is the state you must achieve. You have a choice. You can be the water, constantly changing shape, constantly agitated, constantly flowing where gravity takes you. Or you can be the rock. Most people are water. They have no core. If the world is angry, they become angry. If the world is sad, they become sad. They have no shape of their own. They simply take the shape of the container they're in. You must solidify. You must build a core of such density that the external world flows around you, not through you. That's the key. This brings us to the most powerful psychological strategy for dealing with toxic people and chaotic situations, the gray rock method.
In the world of psychology, this is how you deal with a narcissist, a manipulator, or an emotional vampire. These people feed on your reaction. They feed on your drama. They throw hooks into you to see if they can drag you into their mess. If you react, even if you win the argument, you have given them what they wanted. You gave them supply. You gave them energy. To defeat them, you must become a gray rock. A gray rock is boring. It is uninteresting. It offers no grip. When the manipulator screams, "You are selfish," the gray rock says, "Okay." When the manipulator says, "I'm going to ruin your reputation," the gray rock says, "I understand you feel that way." When the crisis hits at work and everyone is running around screaming, the gray rock sits in the chair, looks at the data, and says, "Here is the solution." You become smooth. You become heavy. You offer them no emotional surface area to grab onto. Be the rock. Nothing moves you. This is not about being passive. Do not confuse stillness with weakness. The rock is not weak. If you run your ship into a rock, the ship sinks. The rock wins. The rock wins by doing nothing. The rock wins by simply maintaining its position. This is the ultimate authority. The man who screams is weak. The man who is silent and unmovable is terrifying. When you achieve the unshakable mind, you stop taking things personally because you realize that the storm has nothing to do with you. The storm is just weather. You don't need their permission to be solid. You don't need the world to be calm for you to be calm. If you require peace and quiet to be focused, you are fragile. If you require everyone to be nice to you to be happy, you are a slave. The unshakable mind finds peace in the middle of the war. It finds silence in the middle of the noise. It is not about apathy, it is about discipline. It is about the discipline of identity. You must decide once and for all who you are. Are you a leaf or are you a mountain? A leaf has no say in where it goes. The wind decides. A mountain decides.
When you commit to being the rock, the insults of others become laughable. Imagine someone shouting at a mountain, "Move! Get out of my way! You are ugly!" Does the mountain care? The mountain doesn't even hear it. The scale is too different. The mountain has been there for 1,000,000 years. The shouter will be gone in 50. You must adopt this timeline. You must adopt this scale. You are fired. Okay, I will find another job. I am the rock. I want a divorce. Okay, it will be painful, but I will survive. I am the rock. You lost the money. Okay, I will make it back. I am the rock. Nothing moves you. You feel the pain, yes, you are human. But you do not move from your center. You do not abandon your principles. You do not lose your dignity. Be the rock. Nothing moves you. This synthesis brings together everything we have learned in this book. Because you are the rock, you do not need the reflex. Chapter 2. Why would a rock flinch? Because you are the rock, you naturally have the gap. Chapter 3. You are heavy, you are slow to start. Because you are the rock, silence. Chapter 4. Is your natural state. Rocks do not chatter. Because you are the rock, you observe the waves. You do not drown in them. Because you are the rock, you have no ego. A rock does not need to be praised. Because you are the rock, you never panic. You are too stable to shake. You see, all the tactics were just steps to get you here. They were the scaffolding to build the fortress. Now you are the fortress. You have a choice. Every morning you have a choice. You can wake up and put on your victim costume. You can wake up and say, I hope the world is nice to me today. Or you can wake up and say, I am the rock. Let the waves come. When you invite the waves, they lose their power. When you stop fearing the chaos recedes. You will find that people start to gather around you. In a storm, everyone looks for shelter. They look for something that isn't moving. They will look to you. Your family will look to you when they are scared. Your team will look to you when the market crashes. Your community will look to you when things go wrong. They will anchor themselves to you because you are the only thing that isn't drifting away. This is the burden of leadership, and it is the privilege of the unshakable mind. You are no longer doing this just for yourself. You are doing it because the world needs rocks. The world is drowning in water. The world is drowning in emotion, in outrage, in weakness. The world needs men who can stand still. Be that man.
Stop trying to control the ocean. You will never control the ocean. Control your footing. Control your gravity. Control your mind. Be the rock. Nothing moves you. You have walked the path. You have gone from a slave of impulse to a master of the pause. You have dismantled the biological triggers that held you back. You have built a psychology of steel. But reading this book is not enough. Listening to these words is not enough. The ocean is waiting outside your door. The test is coming. You have the theory. You have the tools. You have the mindset. Now there is only one thing left to do. You must go out there and let the storm hit you. And when it does, you will not break. You have built the foundation. You have mastered the pause. Now listen closely to these final words, because the next time you face the fire, they will be the only thing standing between you and failure.
You now possess the weapon, but a weapon left in the sheath is useless. The world will test you. It will test you today. Your boss will provoke you. Your spouse will misunderstand you. The world will try to drag you back into the chaos. Do not let it. When the fire rises in your chest, remember this moment. Remember the gap. Stop. Take the breath. Kill the reflex. You are no longer a slave to your impulses. You are the master of your fate. Do not just listen to these words, live them. The next time you want to scream, pause and watch how the world changes around you. Go.